After World War II ended, millions of Allied soldiers occupied Germany. Among them were hundreds of thousands of African American GS. Back home, they were treated as second-class citizens. And in Germany, the U.S. military tried to enforce that same racial segregation. They were told to stay away from German women, that fraternizing was forbidden. But what happened next was something nobody in the American High Command expected. It challenged the very foundation of their racist policies and sparked a social phenomenon that they desperately tried and failed to control. This is the story of the brown babies and the black G, who found love and acceptance in the ruins of the Third Reich, a place where they were supposed to be the enemy but were often treated with more dignity than in their own country. Let's rewind to 1945. Germany is defeated, and the occupation begins. The U.S. military, a deeply segregated institution, brought its Jim Crow policies overseas. Black soldiers were largely confined to labor and supply units, commanded by white officers. They were housed in separate barracks, ate in separate mess halls, and were banned from the same clubs and recreational facilities as their white counterparts. The official policy was non-fraternization for all soldiers, meaning no friendly contact with the German population. But this rule was inconsistently enforced. It was an open secret that white soldiers regularly mingled with German civilians, especially women. For black soldiers, however, the rules were brutally strict. Any black GI seen with a white German woman faced severe punishment, including demotion, fines, or even imprisonment. The military leadership was terrified of what they called racial mixing. They pushed a propaganda campaign, telling German civilians that black soldiers were dangerous, uncivilized, and carried diseases. Posters and pamphlets warned German women to stay away. Mayors of German towns were instructed by the U.S. military to warn their female citizens about the supposed dangers of black men. It was a deliberate, state-sponsored campaign to export American racism to Germany. They wanted to build an invisible wall between black Gs and the German people. But this wall of prejudice began to crumble, not because of a change in military policy, but because of simple human connection. German women, who had just survived years of Nazi propaganda, were surprisingly resistant to the American military's racist messaging. Many of them saw the hypocrisy. They saw white American soldiers, who often behaved arrogantly, and then they saw black soldiers, who were frequently more polite, respectful, and generous. Remember, Germany was in ruins. People were starving. A simple chocolate bar or a can of Spam could be a lifeline. Black soldiers, often coming from poverty themselves, were known for their generosity, sharing their rations not just with women, but with their families and hungry children. This kindness made a powerful impression. While white soldiers often had an air of being conquerors, black Gs were more likely to show empathy. They understood what it was like to be at the bottom of the social ladder. Soon, relationships began to form, quietly at first, then more openly. These weren't just transactional encounters for food or security. Genuine affection and love blossomed in the unlikeliest of places. For German women, a relationship with a black soldier was an act of defiance against both the defeated Nazi ideology of racial purity and the new rules imposed by the American occupiers. They were choosing a partner based on character, not on the color of their skin. And for the black Gs, it was a revelation. For the first time in their lives, many experienced what it was like to be seen as a man, not a stereotype. They were treated with a level of respect and affection they had never known in America. In the arms of these German women, they found a temporary escape from the constant humiliation of racism. One veteran later recalled, "In Germany, I was a man. In America, I was a nobody." This terrified the U.S. military command. They saw these relationships as a direct threat to the racial hierarchy they fought so hard to maintain. The sight of a black man walking hand in hand with a white woman was, to them, a complete breakdown of order. They couldn't believe German women were choosing black men over white men, so they cracked down even harder. They conducted raids on homes where they suspected black soldiers were visiting German women. Soldiers were arrested, and the women were often shamed and publicly humiliated. But you can't stop love with regulations. The relationships continued, and soon there was visible evidence that could no longer be hidden. Children. By the late 1940s, thousands of babies were born to German mothers and black GI fathers. Te werekajet, brown babies, or more cruelly, Maisklinskinder, a term echoing Naziera language. These children were stuck in a tragic limbo. Their fathers, the black geese, were often transferred away or sent back to the States before they were even born. Strict anti-miscegenation laws in many U.S. states made it nearly impossible for a black soldier to bring a German wife and a mixed-race child back home. The German mothers faced immense social pressure. They were ostracized by their communities, often losing jobs and housing. Their children were bullied and treated as outcasts. The German government didn't know what to do with them, and the American military washed its hands of the issue, claiming they were a German problem. For a while, there was even a horrifying plan to have these children adopted en masse by families in the U.S., effectively separating them from their mothers. This plan was championed by African-American writer and activist Mabel Grammer. She and her husband, an officer, saw the plight of these children in Germany and organized an adoption program, bringing hundreds of them to be raised by black families in America. While her intentions were to provide them with a better life, the program was controversial. It often meant children were permanently separated from their biological mothers, who loved them but lacked the resources to fight back. The story of the Black G's in Germany is a powerful, complex chapter of post-war history. It reveals the deep-seated racism of the U.S. military, but it also shows the resilience of the human spirit. In the rubble of war, against all odds, people found love and created families. These relationships challenged the racist status quo and forced a conversation that many in power did not want to have. The lives of the brown babies serve as a lasting legacy of this forgotten history. They are a testament to a time when German women and black soldiers defied a system of hate and, in doing so, created a story of love and resistance that deserves to be remembered. What do you think about this hidden piece of history? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as fascinating as I did, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. See you next time.